It's really not the same without the Carol Symphony, is it? You know,
I'm glad it's all over, so I'm happy that it's back to normal. And along with that as well is we're now in the run-in to the light nights as well, as the days grow longer.
Yeah, I think I'm, as much as I like the winter, I'm fed up with it now. So let's get going. Let's get going. Anyway, how the Charles Dickens are you, Mr. Pollard?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, it was had a really nice break over Christmas, and it's sort of been good to be back to work. Really, got back. Obviously, I've only done 4 days this week, but yeah, it was good. I decided before Christmas. I'm not sure if I told you this when we've chatted before, but last year I decided before the Christmas break, I think I had something like 2 weeks off or 2.5 weeks off or something like that I was going to build something for myself. And I really sort of hit a level of inertia that was almost biblical in proportion, really, because I couldn't pick anything I wanted to build. I sort of rooted around in the loft, couldn't find a kit I particularly wanted, particularly liked, despite there being thousands up there. It was just, kid in a sweet shop, can't work out what to buy. So as a consequence of that, I spent 2.5 weeks getting more and more agitated because I couldn't find anything to build. The whole of the holiday passed by and I didn't build anything, and then I went back to work. And it took me forever to get back into the kind of the swing of doing stuff for work. This year I decided before Christmas, knowing that I was going to have about 10, 12 days off, something like that, that I would do nothing to do with model making at all. And I wouldn't even come into the studio. So I didn't walk in here. I left this end of the house alone. I didn't go to my office. I did nothing at all. Literally pushed it to one side and did nothing. I didn't read about it. I occasionally looked on Facebook, but just had a complete disconnect from the whole of the hobby and the industry and everything. And as a result of that, I came back really refreshed on Monday. I was like, not Monday, Tuesday, whenever it was, came back really refreshed. And I thought, I'm ready to go now. I've got some ideas in my head and I'm up and running. Yeah, so it was good. And I just basically ate, slept, played on PlayStation, watched an inordinate amount of television, spent a lot of time with Elizabeth, watched football, which didn't make me happy, especially yesterday. And but it was good. It was good to have a bit of a break, I think. And I had a conversation with Drew. I saw Drew a couple of days ago, and he said it's sort of ironic, really. He said, because everybody else, when they get 2 weeks off, all they want to do is build models. You get 2 weeks off, and all you want to do is nothing else, just kind of move on and do other things. But yeah, it was lovely, really, really nice. So yeah.
Oh, I see. So you're having meetings with Drew, and I was excluded. Well, thank you very much.
You weren't actually excluded. He was on his way to somewhere else. I was not the end. I know
he was wasn't he on up to see Nigel Poole and all that lot?
He was up to he was on his way to Chester, so he stopped in. The big fella stopped in for a coffee and a chat, and we had a couple of mince pies and just shot the breeze for a couple of hours. It was very nice, actually. It's one of those things, because I think with lockdown being the way that it was and everything, and I spoke to Harris Ali about this over Christmas. I haven't even been to a model club in probably nearly 3 years now. I haven't set foot in a model club at all. I've barely been in a model shop, other than with you, funnily enough, bearing in mind you live like 120 miles south of me. So I haven't really done any of those things. And as a result of that, I feel like my life as a commentator on this hobby and my life as a model maker in the public eye, whatever that might mean, has been sort of formed in somewhat of an echo chamber. I've sort of become kind of encapsulated in my own thoughts rather than hearing and seeing the thoughts and opinions of other people face to face. So that's going to change this year. I'm going back to the Model Club for the first time on Wednesday in 3 years. We've got Bolton show and also what was South Cheshire Militaire in Crewe, which will be a month apart. So hopefully it'll start to sort of get the juices flowing again and start to sort of see things. And also, nobody's seen it. Drew has now because he came round and he spent some time in here.
Yeah, your new best mate Drew. Yeah, go on.
Hello, Drew. But also, nobody has seen. I think some were seen at the National Championships, but nobody's really seen anything that I've built in the flesh on a table for at least 3 years. Nothing at all. And whereby I used to go to shows and I would take stuff out and people would talk about it and see it and all of that sort of stuff. So I jokingly say that my job is building 3-dimensional objects for 2-dimensional images. And they exist for no other reason than that. And I think that still holds true. But it's actually quite nice to sort of show what you've done and people sort of see it and go, hey, what do you think of this model? You know, do you like it and everything? They can sort of see things in the round. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think 2023 will be a return back to whatever normality means in the world of model making.
It's funny you say that because we were looking at some of your models in Glastonbury the other week.
Yeah, I was sort of taken a bit by surprise by this. I saw a photograph. Yes, my legacy collection, or at least part of my legacy collection, is on display in Jadlam now.
It's on tour, frankly.
It's sort of on tour, yeah. So if anybody wants to see any of the legacy collection in the flesh, and there was quite a lot of it on display at Scale Model World, thanks to Andy Farmer. But a lot of those models that were at Scale Model World have now decamped and are now under glass in Jadlam, I believe, in quite a nice display by all accounts.
Very, very nice display.
Yeah,
they've done you proud, mate.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think the next time, because obviously we'll come down to see my brother-in-law and his wife and stay there. So, and whenever I do that, you and I always get together for what can best be described as a day of shenanigans, tea, cake and lunch, and we sort of try and make the trip over to Jadlam, don't we? So that'll be kind of cool to perhaps pop over there and go and see them on display. I forgot what they look like, to be honest, but yeah, no, that'd be kind of cool. And also, it just sort of I'm in that mindset at the moment of maybe having another look at another collection of legacy builds at some point. So that might sort of start the fires of that, really, and sort of see where that goes.
I'd be interested to, well, you know, we'll be interested to know what that is, because I wouldn't mind being in on that, in as much as that if you're going to do another legacy collection, is being able to incorporate part of that into another kind of challenge.
Well, certainly that'll be the case, I think. We still have outstanding challenges.
We do have some outstanding challenges.
We do have outstanding challenges. And the reason that we have outstanding challenges, for anybody that doesn't know this, when lockdown hit in 2020, it seems like a lifetime ago.
2020.
Do you remember? I'm old enough to remember when 2020 was, well, not chaos. So we had a bunch of challenges. John and I got together, and that's where this idea for this channel was spawned. But part of that was that we would spend 10 days building a cheap Tamiya kit, and we both built the same kit, and then we'd photograph it and then reveal it after 10 days. And we did a number of them, didn't we? We did the Panther, SAS, Land Rover, T34. I think we did 3, didn't we?
T34 was the one that kicked it off, yeah.
Yeah, T34. But we also were challenged by a third party, Mr. Sir Andrew Farmer, who suggested we did a battleship, which we never got around to doing. The Walker Bulldog, again, which we never got around to doing.
We got to do that, Spence. We got to do that.
And then I think we had a couple of others, but the legacy build, I've kind of got myself involved in potential legacy build of sorts with some friends from Greece, and their legacy build is very specific. Though they're all building Tamiya Bradleys, M3s and M3A1s or whatever. And as that's almost my favorite 35th scale Tamiya kit, I thought, well, I'll do that and have a crack at that. So that was sort of where we were really with it, but work and other things kind of got in the way, and we sort of fell by the wayside. But those are possibilities. But I have a number of ideas of things I'd like to build for that collection. One of which is the original Lang, the Panzer IV Lang, which I think is a super kit to build. Not the new upgraded 40 quid version, the one that you can still buy for
20 quid,
15 20 quid, something like that. So that's definitely something. Almost as well thinking about building that and replicating Francois' diorama as well, because that was a classic diorama within the Tamiya catalogue. So I'm sort of thinking about that really. So yeah, we do need to pull our fingers out on that and maybe do it this year and see if we can do another 10-day challenge. It would fit in with my scheduling for work as well, because I could speak to Marcus and I could do something for him, and that could be part of my challenge. So yeah, there, as you and I both know, the collection of possible subjects is not small for those challenges. We also sort of semi-suggested, but I think there's a little bit more, I don't know, complexity, if that's the right word to use, of doing one that wasn't Tamiya. An Italeri one was one that we
we can do
the idea of, wasn't it?
I
also think that there's some legs in perhaps doing a Matchbox one too, and both picking a Matchbox. And pick a Matchbox kit that we could put together over you know, a few days or so, 10 days. Do something along those lines. So yeah, I think that could be quite a lot of fun. Like I say, it's for me at the moment. I've taken a break from doing online broadcasts, as many of you will be aware, but it's about reconnecting with things like this and reconnecting with the world and getting out of my own self-imposed bubble, really. Trying other things.
Nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to say, got a couple of comments here. Jim Aldergott says, what happened came with the airfix, both at group build.
Simply, as sometimes happens with these builds when they're built to what was an imposed deadline at that point, I completely stuffed mine up. It was as simple as that. I made such a hash of it that I didn't really want to continue, and I was forcing it in much the same way that I forced. Some of you may remember I forced the finish on an Airfix Buccaneer, a Royal Navy Buccaneer, when that first came out, that I absolutely hated the finish on, and it ended up under my foot because I was so disgusted with it, despite the fact that I basically put it all online. People could see the way this finish was going, and I did get a lot of comments. Well, I thought the finish looked great. It's almost not about that. I think when you're building something, it doesn't really matter what somebody else thinks of it. And I mean that. It doesn't really matter what somebody else thinks of it positively, and it doesn't really matter what somebody else thinks of it negatively either. Somebody can say what you've built is complete rubbish, and that doesn't matter either. But somebody can say something's really, really good and they really like it. But if you don't like it, and if there's something about it that you aren't happy with, you're kind of never going to be happy with it, really, if you've sort of reached that point. And one of the things that sort of struck me with that model, which is one of the reasons why I've probably only ever built 3 Royal Navy aircraft in my entire modeling career of 45 years, is I couldn't replicate that gloss finish that I want the way that I wanted it to. And what happened was that Buccaneer ended up with a flat finish that didn't in my head replicate the way that they looked in reality. So that's why I've got to be honest. I stuffed it up. I made a mess of the finish, and it never got it didn't get done. I don't know about everybody else's, to be honest. But mine was just it was rubbish, basically, and I thought it was rubbish, and it went into landfill. It was, there you go. I know.
Sorry,
Shocking,
Greta.
isn't it? I'd like to say that's unusual for me, that my models end up in landfill. They often do. It has to be said.
Yeah,
so,
Mike Williams not helping here, where he says, when I built the Airfix Beaufort, it was my kit of the year. Loved it. Mike's being an instigator. We lost Spencer here. He's suddenly frozen. Spencer's having terrible connection problems tonight. So is he back? No.
We suddenly disappeared there. What happened?
I don't know. You vanished as well. So we've definitely got some kind of connection problem.
You disappeared, and everything went spinny and black. That was weird. That was like a massive buffer.
Yeah, that was. I don't know what's going on there. We've got nothing. Yeah. We've got nothing else running in the background here. Okay, that's right. Really I think on that note, we'll try and get on with the meat and potatoes tonight of what we are going to be talking about. And I think what we might do is we'll do a recap of the MiniArt stuff. I know this is going to be a little bit of kind of a little bit of kind of like old hat to everybody who tuned in the other night when we were talking about the MiniArt range in 2023. But I just wanted to have your impressions of the range, and I've just got to try and find the the link again. There we go. There it is. So I just want to have your brief impressions of of MiniArt's range for 2023, especially given, obviously, the privations of what's happening in Ukraine at the moment. So let's here we go. Right. Share screen. Here we go. Window, blah, blah, blah. Chrome tab. There we go. Right. Found it. Hallelujah. Right. So I think the most obvious thing that there is to mention here is that. You can see that, can't you, Spence?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
I can. Yeah. I suppose that this was announced at least 12 months ago, wasn't it?
It was hinted at.
We talked about this. Yeah, I'm sure we talked about this in a show at the end of 2021, maybe. But it seemed to have been put on the back burner. It's going to be the year of the Thunderbolt, isn't it? Because of this kit, or these kits, and also the one we're going to talk about in a minute. I know it's on the schedule.
Yeah.
I like the idea that this kit is, having seen the aviation side of MiniArt's range, I'm pleased that what they've done is that they've decided to go and do two different versions of this. They're going to do like a Profi pack, and they're going to do a weekend edition, which I'm assuming will mean that they're different price levels as well, which is good. But also it'll offer sort of degrees of complexity for beginners or for more seasoned modelers who want things to be sort of offer more detail and that kind of thing. I have to say that they've certainly got competition, because to me, as P47 Thunderbolt is magnificent. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing compares to their D. Part of me wishes they'd not done this version and they'd gone for a Razorback, because that would have opened up sort of other possibilities, I think. And we see a lot of bubble top Thunderbolts being replicated, but not so much with the Razorback. However, seeing MiniArt kits over the years, I've got high hopes for this, haven't you? I think this is going to look great.
Well, I'm just trying to find the. I'm just going to download it actually, because we can zoom in on the pictures actually, because the CAD renders that they had of the models, CAD renders rather, it did display absolutely exquisite riveting on it, which hasn't been seen on a Thunderbolt, on a 48 scale Thunderbolt since. So I'm just still trying to download this blessed file. We haven't seen riveting on a 48 scale Thunderbolt since the Otaki kit in the 1970s.
Yeah, and that was a bit heavy-handed, wasn't it?
A little bit heavy-handed, but still very good for the time. But this does look. Oh, sorry, wrong page. This does look. No, boom. Let's get my fingers working here. It does look good. Like I say, they're doing a basic version, which is the 30 RE, and then they're doing the 25 RE, which is the non-filleted version. With they're doing the advanced kit, and they're doing a basic kit as well. So both welcome as far as I'm concerned. And
yeah, I agree.
I look forward to seeing these, and I look forward to doing yet another SIAC one, quite frankly. This should prove to be a popular seller for MiniArt. And somebody made the point to me the other day that on Roy's Barracuda Ready Room, as soon as he does stuff like Thunderbolts, there is just an absolute flood of people sharing photographs of their models.
Yeah.
Which goes to show people build them.
Yeah, it's always been a fantastically popular subject. I've over the years, I think I've only ever built two Thunderbolts, and both of those were in 32nd scale. I don't think I've ever built one in 48. In fact, I haven't built one in 48, despite the fact that in the loft I've got two 48 scale Tamiya kits, and I've never put them together. So I think this year I'll have to remedy that and maybe do one of these Thunderbolts. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing it. I think we'll have to have a word. I'll have to have a word with Mr. Hills and maybe pick one up from him when we get together. We don't have a release date on these kits yet, but I'm assuming that they will arrive this year rather than being put off again until the following
I think
year.
It's the case with a lot of stuff that's coming out of Ukraine is it'll be here when it's here.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
We're going to have to be patient. They have delivered on, a lot of Ukrainian companies have delivered on kits this year. Although there have been modelers saying, "I'm still waiting for this model." And it's like, really?
Yeah. To which I say they're kind of busy at the moment with other things.
Anyway,
please buy another kit.
That promises to be something really quite spectacular. So all power to MiniArt. Looking forward to seeing that one. We'll just quickly scroll through a couple of things. Again, this is something Jen and I looked at on Wednesday. This is their accessory stuff, but they're doing them in 48th now.
Yeah,
good news.
Very good news. Yeah, I could have done with some of this for the project I'm doing at the moment. One of the things about this that I hope is that it's difficult to tell on pricing at the moment, especially with inflation running the way it is as it is. It'll be interesting to see what sort of price point these come in at, being 48th, and whether or not they are similar to the 35th scale sets that you and I have bought almost industrial quantities of over the years. But I certainly see plenty of things there to excite you. And as looking into my display cases from last year, almost all of the armor I built last year was 48th. It wasn't 35th, and there's a 48 scale build on my desk at the moment. So I'm sort of excited about the possibilities of doing that intermediate scale and working on dioramas around that intermediate scale. So that should be good. And also, obviously, these accessories work in collaboration if you were to build armor and aircraft and have them in the same scene. So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm also
going to stick my neck out and say that for all those people who also like building those 156th scale vehicles as well, frankly, I think you could get away with using these things on those kits as well.
I would think so. There are
Yeah,
certain things in there that would fit in with
yeah,
that. Yeah, I mean, I
absolutely.
could certainly see me buying all of these
Mhm,
these sets on those pages for dioramas.
mhm,
Definitely, yeah, an exciting. That's an exciting development, I think. Yeah,
mhm.
really is.
And we'll just quickly skirt a couple of other things. They're now bumping up their tractors to 1/24 scale. Um, yeah, again, there's the Lands Bulldog down there in the on the bottom left, but oh my goodness me, these are gorgeous kits, and if they're bumping them up to 24th scale, which then means they'll be matching things like the Heller Ferguson tractors in terms of scale. That's
Mm,
just going to be fabulous, absolutely
yeah,
fabulous.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I can see me investing in one of these. So yeah, so let's move on. And then this will be about the last MiniArt thing we'll talk about this evening. Is they're doing a Royal Navy armored B-type lorry, which looks fab.
Yeah, it does.
And the
This was, I think, this was my standout from when I saw the the, the catalog arrive. Thought, yeah, this looks like the standout for that. And I can see Gary Edmondson. He must be biting his lip over this at the moment, given the World War One dioramas that have come from his hands over the last few years. World War One is just a massive resurgence of interest, isn't
Mhm,
it?
yeah,
Yeah, that looks beautiful. There is one other kit in there that I think is quite an important release, actually, and that's they've done they're doing a collection of Pack 40s. I
they
noticed
are. I'm just
in there.
going scrolling along. Here we go.
There you go. And although there are kits out there, I think the later one would be Dragons Pack 40. I'm not an expert on field artillery, but this opens up some nice possibilities for dioramas. And they've also, I think they're doing a set that includes a gun and the figures, but also I think they're releasing Pack 40 ammunition as well. So that opens up the possibility of a diorama with a gun emplacement, which I think is fabulous. But
I think it was
that's a really good release.
Das Verk had done a Pack 40 75 mil, but I don't know whether that was their own tooling or whether that was the Dragon kit, or whether that was indeed it was the what's its name? It could be the AFE Club kit. I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah, there have been
there have been kits.
kits. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, and this, oops, Daisy. No, that was the 2 pages. Yeah, it looks fabulous, and there are little minor variations on these, and the the towing, the towing arms and everything. So yeah,
yeah, and also it makes you wonder, given MiniArt's history of using a particular kit as the basis for another, might we see Armada or coming out from them? So there are possibilities for this. I think
yeah.
that's yeah, that was, I noticed that and thought, yeah, that's quite an exciting release, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm just having a quick flick through. No, oh yes, blimey, Mrs. No, yeah, that US Army panel delivery truck. Oh my goodness me, isn't that gorgeous?
Um, I think that's a
Beautiful.
really good release. I'm not entirely sure I would call it gorgeous. I think that's a rather ungainly looking thing, to
It
be
is,
honest.
but I think it looks fabulous. I think they're also doing they're doing that as well, which is a radio truck, which is
That looks
based on,
great, doesn't it?
yeah, it is. And they're also doing a trailer, which is also being sold as a separate kit as well.
Mm,
There's your Pack 40 again there in
yeah,
with troops and things. And I'm just having a quick look. We're just going to score. Yeah, there you go. There's your trailer.
there's a trailer. Yeah,
We did this with Jen on Wednesday, so we're not going to kind of like just bang on about it. Or water trailer there as well. So yeah, there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff coming from MiniArt, and also there's the German soldiers in Cafe. Although we are still slightly confused as to whether one of them was actually a member of the Kriegsmarine. We got US soldiers in Cafe. And then we've got scrolls there. We got British soldiers in cafe.
That opens up possibilities as well for box dioramas. Having the inside of a room and building it as a box diorama. The other thing I noticed with MiniArt as well was that they're coming up with a quite a large collection now of civilian figures and accessories that go with them. Almost they're becoming a one-stop shop if you wanted to build dioramas, vignettes, figure vignettes and figure dioramas without ever touching military subjects. And there's enough in their catalog for you to build, for instance, for you to build an outside market. And I love the idea of that with all the kind of the different sort of market stalls out there with different people involved in it. Thought that would look fabulous. So you create something that's not military. And also that allows you to create something that's brighter as well. You're using brighter colors than just grays and greens and all of those kind of things. And something that's a little bit that's more relaxed and more sedate. So
less belligerent, I think is a good way of putting it. I noticed here, I think these were previewed last year, but they're in the catalogue again this year as new. So you've got French civilians in a cafe and cafe visitors. Then on this page, you've got milkmen, you've got men with wooden barrels, you've got bakers, you've got Sid James pulling a milk cart. You've got butchers, you've got cheese sellers. Of which this then kind of like segues. We'll skip that. Oh, that's coming. That's still coming this year as well. Their BTR-4 armored response vehicle. But I did notice in their accessories, they're doing a hayrick. That was it. Home office interior. That's new. And there's also the living room interior. And they were doing there we go, bookshelves, but they were also doing a thing of the cheeses. The cheeses were coming out in a set anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, we will look at we've already looked at MiniArt, and we don't want to kind of like it because we're a bit short for time. So Mr. Weights and Measures here says needs scales for a proper market. You never guess Dave worked in Weights and Measures. Sucking the joy out of the hobby yet again. Is political correctness gone back now? Russ Taylor says, only joking, Dave. Russ Taylor says the German Navy guy is a U-boat commander. They operate extensively out of Western French ports. Yeah, exactly. So it's and Peter Oxley says looks like Admiral Donuts. Well, I'm sure they've got donuts on the menu. So there we go. But yeah, it's MiniArt. Like I say, fingers crossed they can deliver on all this year, especially given what is going on in Ukraine at the moment. So obviously we send them our best, and as soon as these kits start showing up in the UK, I will be investing. Let's put it that way. It's fabulous, and without wishing to kind of like be too much of a fanboy. MiniArt are just one of those manufacturers that I've built some of their stuff. I've still got the little tempo to finish off, but it's just a joy. The stuff their models do bring joy, and I think that's quite a thing to have these days. To have a manufacturer that can kind of like bring out a kit and it just puts a smile on your face. So anyway. Talking of kits that will put a smile on your face, this is Dora wings, and this has been announced before, but it is their P47B/C Thunderbolt, the short Thunderbolt, and they've actually got test shots now and a few other bits and pieces, and upside-daisy, there we go, and I can't wait for this. Just looks tremendous. And
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
You can't have too many jugs, quite frankly. And this is, like I say, this is the variant that nobody has ever really kitted. This is the B and the C. So it's, I think when you put them side by side with a D, the differences will be noticeable. But I love Thunderbolts, and sign me up. That's all I can say. It does look absolutely incroyable.
I have no knowledge of Dora wings at all. I don't own one of their kits, and I've certainly never made one. So, but when I saw these photographs, I thought that does look nice. It really looks like a P35, doesn't it? It just looks like
it's that kind of interim between the P35 and the P47.
It's really weird, isn't it? It's got that sort of dumpy look that the P35 had. But yeah, I don't know too much about this variant either, but it is quite noticeably different, isn't it? The fuselage is noticeably different. So, do we have a release date on this thing yet?
No. Again, being a Ukrainian kit company, I think it's going to be a case of it will be released as and when they can actually get them, get them out of the country, get the stuff into production, and get them out of the country. So
it looks like from the pictures there, it looks almost like this is a curbside kit as well. It doesn't look like they've gone overboard on huge amounts of detail. I can't tell, but it doesn't look like there are separate flaps in there. There are separate control surfaces, but that only appears to be on main planes. Didn't see anything on tailplanes or rudder. That all looks like it's there in, it does. They're in neutral positions. So it looks like this is going to be quite a simple kit to put together as well. It doesn't look like there's going to be a huge number of parts in it, which will be great. But from what I can see of the surface detail, it looks bang on. Really does look nice. So
yeah, and Dora wings are improving bit by bit by bit. I've got the Percival. God, I can't think what they are now. I think they're the Percival. I was going to say Prentices or Proctors. It's the little British World War II monoplane. They looked good in the box, but they were a bit of a bear to assemble. And mine are still awaiting final assembly after 2 years. But this does look like they've kind of like, they've moved up a gear again, and there's some kind of in progress shots as well.
The engine looks good. The engine looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Bit of photo etch in there.
Yep. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Thunderbolt. So that gets a huge thumbs up from me, frankly. And but we are not finished with things that are thundery. I'm keeping an eye on the time here because I know you've got an appointment with Happy Valley. You have. And
I've got an appointment with some food actually before then. I've not eaten yet, so my stomach is.
Yeah, I know the feeling. We are going to have a look at. Do wish they'd make this easier. Window. Oh, for goodness sake! Sorry, it's that's why, because I haven't. I should actually call it up. That might help. This is. Oh, for goodness sake, they've lost it. Hang about, folks. We've got the link here. Oh, come on. Got the link, and it is refusing to load because my fingers have. Right, let's try it again. Okay. We've got a link. We cut and pasted the link, and the link isn't working for some reason. So the best laid plans of mice and men and all that. So I'm just going to go into their Facebook page and find it now. Here we go. Oh, God. Always happens.
Technology, eh?
Technology. There we go. Right. This is Thunder Model. I'm afraid in this instance, Thunder Model wasn't Go. This is Thunder Model, and there we go. Finally. And they're doing a Bofors C9/B late which is very nice, very nice subject, and quite an attractive, quite an attractive, kind of like subjects and color schemes and whatever. And oh my goodness me, they really have pulled their finger out when it comes to the detail here. This, I know we're always kind of swimming in superlatives, but this does look incroyable.
That looks like an awful lot of parts.
Yes, just a little bit. A deceptively simple subject, but actually, like I say, absolutely awash with detail and whatever. And
it almost looks like an engineering study in miniature, doesn't it?
It does, yes. So how much of this is plastic and how much of this is photo etch? I'm guessing that the gun sights and things will be photo etch. But no, these are the kind of models that years ago you kind of dreamt of in terms of this level of detail, and here they are. And God, blimey, look at that.
It does look impressive, I have to say.
It does look terrifying.
Yes.
Full engine detail. This will be coming at some stage in 2023 from Thunder. Brilliant. I mean, and the thing is, they also, having tooled up now the Morris kind of like chassis for the Bofors, that then gives them lots of options to be doing other bits and pieces, other Morris variants as well. So, in fact, I think they're hinting at a clue on one in the background there. So, I think this is, if there are builders of British military models out there and they're still whinging about, oh, we don't get things in our scale, well, come on, lads.
To be fair, I mean, there's a lot of British trucks now, aren't there?
There are
out there that would certainly keep you occupied, for a very long time. But this is a model that I'm sure if you were to tackle it, it's not going to be a weekend build. You're going to be working on this for weeks and weeks and weeks, just to bring out just to assemble it before you even start painting. But I think if you were to do that and bring out the best in it, this is going to be like the centerpiece of anybody's collection. That looks really fabulous, actually. Again, I have no knowledge or experience of Thunder kits, but I have, I've obviously seen them in photographs and that kind of thing. But that certainly looks like an awful lot of parts to put together. And as somebody who's currently used to building monogram jets that have got about 25 parts, that's enough to give me the heebie-jeebies at the minute. So, but yeah, I think that's going to be really popular. I can see a lot of people wanting to build one of these things.
I think also it's going to be popular with modelers who, they might not want to build the Bofors version, but they will want to. They will want to use the chassis as a basis for other bits and pieces. So, I think that's a winner in my book. And good to see Thunder back in the back in the mix again. So excellent. Right. Finally, and this time we really can use the words incroyable in the proper sense, because Hella have returned from their slumbers, and apparently in cooperation with Kinetic, they are bringing us a brand new 72nd scale Hawkeye. Now, they did release a Hawkeye kit about 20 years ago, which was a kind of like a Chinese homage to the old Fujimi kit. I think it's the best way of putting it. Not a great kit by all accounts. This though is brand new, and it is in kind of like in cooperation with Kinetic by all accounts. That's what we've been told. So there we go. That's the box art. But then we've got so you can do it with the wings folded as per the Kinetic kit. There we go. This looks to be a winner. We've not had a new Hawkeye for over 40 years, probably nearly 50 years now. And yes, like I say, we had that kind of copy a couple of years ago, but you know, I say a couple of years ago, probably about 20 years ago, but probably best to look beyond that. But this incorporates all the kind of major upgrades and things that the Hawkeye has had in recent years. And yeah, if it's based on the Hella kit, based on the Kinetic kit, that should be something of a thing of beauty, quite frankly.
It's it looks great in the CAD drawings. It looks great. This is obviously coming out of Hella's recent takeover. They've just been taken over by a German company, so they are now, although I think they're headquartered or partially headquartered still in France, Normandy, I think, that way. I think their base is now somewhere in Germany, and they've been taken over by a German firm who want to push the brand, and they've got some very interesting new releases. And certainly from looking at the renders, this looks like a really nice kit, and it looks like something that people will be interested in. I have a degree of skepticism though, unless the elephant in the room has been addressed, and that is Hella's decals. On the box art of this kit, the scheme is really nice. I mean, it's got very bright tails and all of that sort of stuff. You and I have, over the last couple of years, or certainly I have, bought Hella kits, current generation yellow boxed Hella kits, and the decals have been absolutely terrible. I mean, not even completely unusable mush. So I'm hoping that with the new approach that the new owners have taken, and perhaps the tie-in that they've got with Kinetics toolmakers and Kinetics design arm, that will also carry over into the decals that are a part and parcel of this package. Because without that aspect of the kit, then this kit is going to fall short, and that's certainly something I'm concerned about. I bought 3 Hella kits. I think I bought the Oregon, the Alouette, and I think I might have bought the Thunderjet as well, which were old tools but in new boxes. So they were new issues of those 3 tools, and I think we discussed them on this page. Actually, we discussed how bad the decals were, literally unusable. It didn't matter how
unusable.
Absolutely unusable. They were terrible. Yeah.
I'm just going to say a couple of people have picked me up on this quite rightfully. God, I don't know how I forgot about this. There's me saying that there hasn't been a new tool E2 Hawkeye in years, and here we go. David Hansen says the Hasegawa E2 series. Tim Maunda says the Hasegawa kit. Russell Taylor, Hasegawa. Stu Wellard, Hasegawa. Gibraltar got, Craig Sargent, Hasegawa. Mike Williams, sorry chaps, I have completely COVID brain fog. Stu Wellard as well, and John Patrick Huston. Sorry guys, I completely forgot about the recent Hasegawa kit. But did Hasegawa do folded wings on theirs? Perhaps some of our
don't think so. No,
correspondents
I think
can
it was
that.
full span, which certainly wasn't something that I was worried about, because I don't really like folded wings on aircraft models. It breaks up the lines for me. I know that this is one of those eternal questions, isn't it? You know, when you have a Navy aircraft, you should fold the wings on it and do all of that sort of stuff, because it's a feature of Navy aircraft. But to me, the attractive nature of an aircraft is that it is the shape of the aircraft, and when you sort of break it up and have everything sort of folded up, it looks like a Heath Robinson contraption rather than an airplane, and I don't really like that too much. So, but I certainly, if the kit turns out the way that it looks in those renders, it's going to look great. There certainly looks like there's plenty of detail inside those wing folds as well, which is good. But my concern is, I'd like to see one of these kits and see how this kit goes together. But my concern is, at the moment, are they going to deal with the decals? And I'm not I'm not prepared to sort of say any more about it until that's kind of dealt with, really. And I suppose the only way to do that would be to purchase one of the newer Hella kits since the takeover, and see whether or not they have addressed that, because they're such a fundamental part of a product and a package that you can't have a kit without them. We've discussed decals in recent kits a number of times on this program, and you know, and it's extremely important. Not everybody has the wherewithal or the funds to be able to buy a plastic kit and then just say, well, I'll just go out and buy an aftermarket decal sheet. That's not how it works. It should be a fundamental part.
I do agree with that, but where I would slightly deviate from that attitude is if a company brings out a kit and the decals are unusable, but none of the schemes were anything that interested me anyway. Yeah. It's no great loss for me. So
yeah, I sort of get that. I do sort of get that. But you know, I feel that it is. These aren't overtrees. This is a kit with a box art with instructions, and you buy it as a complete package. And if one aspect is unusable, then that's an issue. As it turned out with the kits that I bought, I knew that the decals wouldn't be that great, so I bought model decal sheets. And it came to something when the model decal sheets that I bought were older than the kits that were reissued by about 3 decades. Actually, I think they were released sort of in the early 80s. So, but it's interesting. I think it's a good release. I think it's going to be popular, and I wish them luck with it. But it's not the only thing that Hella are doing. They're doing other odd things like 24 scale trailers for tractors and that kind of thing. They're doing a car transport trailer and all of those sort of things.
They also seem to be striking a deal to polybag a number of ICM kits as well.
So really?
Yeah, I'd imagine, because they're doing things like my lovely little Laffley V15 as well. So I would imagine that I'm not. This is just me hazarding a guess, but I would hazard a guess that is ICM realizing the value of having some foreign currency coming in through polybagging kits through another manufacturer. So that's another way that these Ukrainian manufacturers can keep their head above water by doing that. So more power to them. But yeah, Dave Swindle says decals were never Hella's strong point. No, they were not, and it was I can tell you that was a massive flashpoint 20 plus years ago, which we won't cover here.
They were literally never as well. It's an astonishing thing with Hella at a time when in the 70s, when their kits were garnering huge amounts of praise from both modelers and commentators and the magazines and all of that sort of stuff. The decals that were in those kit boxes were on the whole rubbish even back then. Even when other manufacturers' decals weren't that great, Hella stood out as being really poor. But the ones that we saw were, I mean, it's completely incomprehensible that in sort of the 21st century, a decal sheet can be printed with a French roundel where the center part of the roundel is like 2 mil out.
The center of the roundel is in another kit, frankly.
I mean, it wasn't that they weren't, you know, within register. They weren't even on the same sheet most of the time.
No, weren't in the same kit. The thing is, I've got. I did buy a couple of Hella kits last year, and I think we put some. We did a live on it, which is about 2020, but almost all of them were shocking, except one of them where it was a very nicely printed sheet. Right. So it's kind of like, you know, we'll wait and see what the quality of these is like. But
I mean, certainly, I mean, in terms of detail, some of the newer Hella kits that have come out have been lovely, haven't they? I mean, really lovely. I remember chatting away to the guys at a toy fair at Nuremberg a few years back, and they were saying how at least one of the French armor kits that had come out, I can't remember which one it was now, had been patterned by the same guy that patterned Tamiya's French battle tank. And it was, when you looked at the kit, you thought, actually, this looks like a Tamiya kit. It looks like, you know, something you would expect to go in one of those boxes. And then when they started bringing out the tractors and those kind of things, they were just brilliant. I mean, really, really nice. So they've certainly got their act together in terms of their tooling for the newer kits, and some of the little vans that they've done, the Fortinet and all of those kind of things were really nice. So I have high hopes that they may be able to stabilize this brand and then push it forward, because Hella is such a fundamental part of the history of what we do. It would be a shame for them to disappear completely. So I'm really looking forward to that. I also noticed from their catalog, they made quite a big play as well, that some of the box art was being used was traditional Hella box art. They were using some of the paintings, or that they got the original artists to do some of the new paintings on the boxes, which I thought was a really interesting thing. I think they released a video on YouTube, and the guy who's doing the video says that, and says, look, you'll be interested to see that we're using the same box artists, because they obviously want to push the idea of that sort of legacy branding for the 21st century. I thought that was really fascinating approach to what they consider to be a very important brand.
I think what impressed me, seeing the way that the, you know, for want of a better phrase, the way the Germans have kind of, you know, taken control of Hella, is they're much more engaging and they're much more open. And I checks with the gallery here. Can I say, I know from personal experience going back pre-Hornby, dealing with Hella, it was very much, they were very difficult. That's all I'm going to say. And I think obviously the Germans have come in, they've restructured the company completely. I get the feeling they've gone in there with a very large broom and swept a lot of these old practice out. And in fact, it was I'm sorry, I'm laughing here. Steve Moores says, didn't Hella try printing their decals in-house? And Dave Fleming says, looked like they printed them in someone's house. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I remember this is going back 30 odd years ago. At the time, it's 30 years ago, 30-year rule now. At the time, Humbrol were told by Hella, no, you've got to get all your decals printed by us. Okay. Then Hella released a couple of kits, and I think some of the guys at Humbrol said, hang about, who did the printing for these decals? And they went, oh, that was Color Slide. And it was like, so you're not even using your own in-house printing press to do the decals for your own kits. You're using the people we wanted to use, or sorry, the people that Humbrol wanted to use for Airfix, and were told, no, you can't use them. And it was that's a really kind of like a good indication on what that relationship was like, quite frankly. But you know, I love Hella.
Not great.
I absolutely love them, but that was
me too.
It was problematic. Yeah. Anyway, we've come to 32 minutes past 8 o'clock. I know you have got to go and watch Happy Valley. That's on at 9 o'clock, and get some tea on the go. So, any other business?
No, I don't think so. I've got a busy week coming up, so hopefully we'll have a kit to show off end of next week.
Excellent.
All being well. We'll see how it goes.
I'm going to say now some of you are going to go, why have you glued the tracks and the wheels together, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm feeling lazy and I can probably paint and weather them in situ rather than do it anywhere else. However, one thing that was really bugging me the last few days is that I went through the sprue and I couldn't find the parts for the periscope. And I thought, don't tell me I've lost them, for goodness sake and whatever. And the parts for the periscope would be there. There's a gap there, you see. And I was thinking, well, did I snip them off and do that, and and I couldn't get it. I couldn't get my head round what on earth I had done. Then I looked at the instruction sheet, and the instruction sheet has the parts I'm looking for, D19, D20, D28, circled in pen. Even curiouser, Watson. And I was just I cannot get my head round what on earth this is all about. So I had a word with, I'm not going to name any names, but I had a word with somebody, and they went, oh yeah, somebody from a magazine needed those parts, so we snipped them off the sprue. And I'm like, okay. So I'm going to get a replacements, but goodness me, I was tearing my hair out for all day today, thinking, did I cut them off? Did I lose them? What on earth? And then I noticed on the instruction sheet, they're circled. I honestly thought, and this is what happened at Telford a couple of years ago, I honestly was starting to think somebody had come along while my back was turned and half-inged them. Because that actually happened at Telford. Somebody made off with the photo etch parts for one of the Tamiya kits. Just walked up to the stand, nobody was looking, grabbed them, took them. That was it. So anyway, yeah, mystery solved, Holmes.
Indeed.
Bizarre. Anyway, but yeah, it's coming along. It's a lovely kit. You can't put the periscope on at the moment, but yeah, I really need to get a wiggle on, get this one done now, because I want to get that done. Then I can go back and get the Airfix ambulance done, which is that close to being finished, and then we can start looking at new projects. Hurrah! So that's about it from me. I'd like to say thank you to Spencer for joining us this evening. And I get the feeling, I know you're busy, but I get the feeling we're not finished with 2023 releases at the moment. There's still going to be new stuff coming through, and we'll still be digesting it. So for the next month or so, we will still be doing new kit releases. So whether that's with Drew, whether that's with Jen, whether that's with Mike, whether that's with another, or indeed with yourself when you're available. But
yeah.
Big thank you, Spencer, for coming on the show, and we look forward to seeing you again. And Jim Altegott says, FX. Yeah, we will be covering the Airfix releases this week, so probably do that by myself. I don't know. We'll sort something out anyway. On that note, just to say thank you for Spencer. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in tonight. So I haven't been able to read out your names because we are really pushed for time. But you know who you are. Thank you very much. We'll be back on. We might do a pop-up live tomorrow. I might do a pop-up live for when Airfix will announce their kits, or we might leave it for a Wednesday. But until then, it just remains for me to say thank you very much. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye for now.